Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about this ongoing health scare that is plaguing the United States and the rest of the world. We're currently in a downturn where places are finally starting to open up after lockdowns, and in addition, we're starting to discover new things about this virus and how to deal with it and how to treat it. Most notably, President Trump has recently announced that he's taken a certain kind of medicine that helps as a preventative measure. It's called hydroxychloroquine, and it's been a very controversial topic to say the least. This has come up a number of times throughout this news cycle, and basically what happens is conservatives like the president will bring up this drug and say, hey, this is something we can use to help. And then the Democrats try and beat that message down. They try to say it's dangerous. They try to say it'll kill you even. They'll say really crazy bad things about it because, frankly, they don't want to find a cure to this. They don't want this to stop. They don't want us to end this scare because the longer our country's in turmoil and the longer we go with these lockdowns and have people scared and freaking out and crash the economy, the better chances the Democrats have to regain power. They're currently losing in a lot of ways. Not only is their candidate for president a total joke, Joe Biden is turning into a senile old man right in front of us on camera, but in addition to that, Democrats are losing their strength in other places too. People are losing faith in Democratic governors in certain states that are taking way too much time to open up, and they're also being more authoritarian than ever, like California, who's fining people for going to parks and beaches and giving them crazy fines and arresting them and taking them down and doing all kinds of nutty stuff. This is turning against the left. They thought this lockdown could help them and be used for political purposes, but it's actually starting to backfire on them. And so goes the case with the lockdowns, as goes with this new drug hydroxychloroquine. Now, again, President Trump recently announced that he's taking it, and a specific player on the Democratic side, Nancy Pelosi, is speaking out against him in a very interesting way. She's basically fat-shaming Trump and saying he's not in good enough shape to try this medicine, which is a really ridiculous claim, and it's also very hypocritical for someone on the left to attack the president like this. We're going to go over all those details. We're going to go over the comments, check some video, and talk about this whole story more soon too. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our loyal sponsors at preparewithnobs.com. We're living in a strange new world, guys, and things are not normal now, to say the least. And they probably won't return to normal anytime soon. Food shortages will be the next shoe to drop too, so make sure you're prepared and have some dry food stored at your home today. No need to panic and wait in lines like everyone else. Just stock up on some of our high quality, long lasting dry food right here on our website today. The URL is, again, www.preparewithnobs.com. Thanks for your time, have a great day, stay safe, and hopefully you'll join us in this preparing journey. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's return to talking about Nancy versus Trump. Basically, Trump announced he's taking hydroxy, and now Nancy is calling him fat on TV. It's pretty embarrassing, pretty cringy, and also very hypocritical if you guys remember what's been going on. Trump has been derided notoriously for kind of being an outspoken, brazen, tough-talking kind of guy like this. He's said things like this. He's called people names like fat, slob, other things like that. We're not denying that that's a possibility. We're not saying, oh, you can't call someone some name. We're not trying to be hypocritical on our side, but the point is, Trump and others, including myself, we've used these kinds of attacks before, and we've been derided for it. The left calls us fat shamers. They call us sexist, homophobic, all that kind of stuff. They say we're too crass. They say we speak our minds too much. All that kind of normal stuff that we hear about. And now for them to turn around and use that tactic against Trump shows that they truly didn't care before. And Nancy Pelosi was probably most famous for this. She's called Trump a bully. She's called him all kinds of things, saying, oh, you can't attack us, you can't say mean things. And then now she goes and turns into the bully herself. Very showing, very telling, and very interesting to see. So with all that said, let's go ahead and turn to the first article. It's called Pelosi, Not a Good Idea for Morbidly Obese Trump to Take Hydroxychloroquine. So here she's saying morbidly obese, and it's a basic fat-shaming tactic. And I have to say right out the gate that I don't think Nancy has any room to talk about health, about how someone looks. For example, just check out this picture of Nancy versus Trump. Okay, so here's a picture of Nancy and Trump. And as you can see, I'm not necessarily seeing the great stance that Nancy can be speaking from. She's very, very old, very terrible looking, scary looking even. I mean, Trump actually looks really great for being 74. He's not aging that much. He has great teeth still. He doesn't have the fake dentures that Nancy has. Now, I don't want to just compare them on appearances. We're not just talking about a looks competition here, but she calls Trump morbidly obese. I'm not seeing it. I know he might look bigger from the side, from a full perspective. Maybe he's a little thicker than some other people, but I wouldn't say that at all. I wouldn't say he's fat. I wouldn't say he's morbidly obese at all. And in addition, just because Nancy's somewhat skinnier, she looks frail and terrible. I mean, she looks like she's about to fall apart. Like if you sneezed, she might fall over. She might turn into dust. If she went out in the rain, she'd probably melt. You know, that's the kind of look I get from her. So her kind of shaming Trump's health and appearance doesn't make any sense when you compare them, because obviously Trump is in great shape, especially for his age. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of vigor. He moves around. He's got all kinds of things going on. He never hesitates. I mean, Trump is in a good spot, and compared to Nancy, it doesn't even compare. And I think this is a good part to bring up, because the other thing I want to mention here, just in general, is a lot of people make this kind of false assumption that, like, if you're skinnier, you're healthier than someone who's bigger, and that's not always true. Not nearly always true. I mean, if you could be unhealthy and skinny. Like, being too skinny is a problem too. There is a sort of misconception there where it's like, if you look too skinny, it's kind of harder to tell if you're not healthy. You look at someone who's bigger, someone who's really big, and you're like, okay, obviously they have an ED problem, or they're going to have maybe some issues, heart issues or something, calories, cholesterol. But at the same time, there's plenty of giant football players who lift weights, are in great shape. They might have a little extra meat on them, but they're in better shape than like a skinny, frail, old Nancy Pelosi. And I'm not saying Trump is obviously not a football player, but he's just got a little meat on his bones. That's it. We're not talking about someone that's even that big. And the idea that Pelosi thinks she's healthier because she's skinnier, it's like, no, you're skinny and old and about to die. Next, let's read into this article a little bit and see what they have to say before we check the video. Monday on CNN, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi argued President Donald Trump should not be taking hydroxychloroquine because he is morbidly obese. Host Anderson Cooper asked, Madam Speaker, what is your reaction to the president saying he's now taking hydroxychloroquine? Are you concerned? Pelosi said, as far as the president is concerned, he's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved by the scientists, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, morbidly obese, they say. She added, I don't think it's a good idea. Okay, wow. First of all, I wouldn't say any of this stuff about Trump, as we just noted. And then in addition, why is it the Democrats all think they're scientists? Like, they act like, oh, this is against the science, this is against the doctor's orders. But they're not doctors or scientists, okay? They're not special. Like, the liberal doesn't have a monopoly on education and higher learning and science and, you know, doctors and stuff like that. They act like they do, though. That's what's so frustrating. And what's also concerning is Pelosi acting like she knows better than Trump's doctors. I mean, Trump probably very likely has the best doctor team in the world. He certainly has a very qualified physician in the White House. He has all that support staff, and he probably has independent doctors and all kinds of people checking out his stuff. So if they advised him to take a few pills to help him prevent stuff, I don't see the problem. This is an anti-malarial drug that's been used for decades, by the way. This has been tested. It's been out there. Granted, hasn't been used and in conjunction with this new pandemic as much, because this is a new virus, it's a new illness, so they're still in the testing stages, but there is a lot of consensus that it can help. And especially, I mean, if it's not going to hurt you to take an extra vitamin or an extra, you know, this case, a vitamin or a pill or a drug or a prescription, it's not going to hurt you to be preventative. So why not give it a try, especially if it's shown and been proved to work in a lot of cases, which it has. And there's been one bogus study that the left tries to get behind saying, oh, this proves that hydroxy doesn't help. But really, that study was using a bunch of really old people who were dying anyway. And then they try to give them hydroxychloroquine to cure this new virus they got, and then they died, and they try to act like that shows that the drug doesn't work. It's like, no. We've got doctors, we've got scientists. Trump knows what he's doing, and if this is the case that he wants to do, why not? And the next step I would take this is, I don't think Pelosi really cares how healthy Trump is. These liberals and these Democrats, they try to pretend they're like caring about the president when really, they would rather he be dead. Like they'd rather him be gone. They've been going against the guy for 4 years, like vehemently, like really vicious attacks. So for them to now act like they're concerned and they're, I worry about his health, like, I hope he's okay. That's just baloney. That's just BS. That's just them feigning concern because they want to turn people away from this prescription that might actually help cure this problem and get us into a better state by the election, which will obviously be better for the president. The president has been doing great. He's had a great approval rating. He still has a great approval rating. In fact, with this new backlash coming from the Democrats overplaying their hand, they're now going to be doing worse than the president. The president could bounce back and still do better despite them trying to end this whole thing. Now, next I got a little tweet here that's kind of interesting. It says, it's from Ryan. It says, if Pelosi classifies Trump's weight group as morbidly obese, how would she classify Stacey Abrams? Oh, and the fact that Pelosi brings this up and does so in a mocking way means that Democrats and CNN, which didn't push back, can't go after people for bringing up Abrams' weight. This is a great point. And first, before we go on about Stacey Abrams, let me bring up a picture of her. This is the new picture of Stacey Abrams that's been going around. I'm sure this is what that tweeter was referencing when talking about things. Obviously, this is a bigger person, and obviously this is a person who takes himself way too seriously. If you see this picture, she's like silhouetted in front of this light and this smoke, and she's kind of like standing like a superhero, like she's Superman or something. It's really cringe. She even has a cape on. I mean, this is talk about cringe, but the point is, Stacey Abrams is right here. She's obviously on the bigger side, obviously way more than Trump. I mean, we could see it right here in the dimensions here and the dimensions in the neck. I mean, it is more than obvious. And this is a Democrat that the leftists are trying to push all the time. Despite Abrams losing elections, Abrams lost an election in Georgia, but she still sticks around for some reason. She like denies the results and then also is trying to become vice president now. And the point is, with this tweet, back to the tweet, it's like, yeah, if they can make fun of Trump and go after him and Anderson Cooper's going to let Nancy say this like without any pushback, that means Abrams is kind of wide open and has a big target on her back, like as big as that could fit on there, because they're showing their true colors and showing this is fair play, this is allowed, and there are kinds of complaints they had before about Trump kind of being a tough talker, talking a lot of trash. Well, that's shown them to be really bad hypocrites. With that said, let's check out some of the video and see what the audio sounds like.
What's your reaction to the president saying that he's now taking hydroxychloroquine? Are you concerned?
Well, first let me say how happy I am about your new baby. How lovely.
Oh,
Wyatt, how perfectly named.
Okay, that's just awkward right out the gate. First of all, she's like trying to kiss his butt, and this just shows the collusion between CNN and the Democrats. Like, they are buddy Look how happy they are. Look at these faces. Look how goofy they look. It's just so cringe. And on top of that, Nancy's looking awful. Like, Nancy looks like she's about to die like any day now. No offense, I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about appearances, she looks terrible. Anderson looks like a goober. I mean, he's still healthy, obviously. He's not as old as these other guys, but he looks really ridiculous when he asks this question. He's like, what do you think about Trump using this? Like, he acts so concerned and so like, oh, I'm so perplexed by him using a medication that's been around since the 1950s. It's like, dude, you guys are pretending this is a big deal. It's not. He's taking something that's normal and is preventative. It's totally makes sense. His doctors told him to do it, and you guys are trying to spin it into something totally ridiculous. Oh, and then ask about his baby. Congrats on your baby. We're best friends. Let's make fun of the president and try to take over the country. You guys are losers.
Oh, we all know why that is, and congratulations. And as you now are a father, you see how important it is to keep the world safe for the children,
This lady is literally like the stereotypical lady from The Simpsons. There's that one quote where she says, what about the children? This is on The Simpsons from forever ago. It's like a very stereotypical, like kind of like pearl clutching mother who goes to meetings and is like, what about the children? And that was like a joke. That was a farce from decades ago. And friggin' Nancy Pelosi is doing that character unironically. Oh, we got to worry about the children. The children. They don't care about the children. These guys don't care about anything. They're just feigning concern. They're pretending to care about kids and about minorities and about the disabled, whichever. It's all just an act. They're all just using this as a joke and a thing to get their policies passed. They could care less about anyone else but themselves.
As far as the president is concerned, he's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved by the scientists, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So,
geez, she's trying to do like a low-key dig. She's trying to be like passive-aggressive. It's coming off really, really bad, really, really badly. And the way she says hasn't been approved by the scientist, it just sounds so vague and made up to me. Like, oh, the scientist. Oh, what about the scientist? I mean, it doesn't, does she not think Trump has scientists? The president has scientists he talks to. He has head doctors. He has amazing physicians. He has the best healthcare probably in the world. And Nancy's going to try to act like she knows better. Oh, I know better. Oh, well, the scientists haven't approved this. And this reminds me of another thing. I almost made a whole video about this whole science claim that leftists make all the time. It's like I was just saying before, they try to have this monopoly on science, on information, and it comes from them kind of running colleges and universities for decades now, like forever. Liberals have run all of education, so they kind of have a way of thinking, oh, since we run these institutions and it produces doctors and scientists and other educated people, engineers, lawyers, all that stuff, so they think they have a monopoly on those industries too, like, oh, scientists come from college so we can know all the science. And then she just says scientists vaguely, like she doesn't know what she's talking about. There's no scientist that she has that's better than Trump's scientists. There's no special one and all be all scientist who can govern over the whole country or the world. Like, no, there's different people with different opinions. And yeah, there's hard science, like 2 + 2 = 4. We know things like specifically, like we mix H2O and we get water. We know specific basic science, but what we're talking about here is complex human biochemistry. We're talking about our bodies, we're talking about anatomy, we're talking about like really complex things that are different for every person too. Like every person has a different body, has a different makeup, different DNA, different things you're allergic to, different things you react to. So basically, Nancy's trying to narrow this down and act like she can hide behind the science. She's in charge of the science because she's in charge of the Democrats. It's not true, though. Trump has plenty of scientists. Trump is doing the right thing according to his situation. He's spoken with his doctors. He's talked to the best people in the world. And the only reason these leftists want to go against that is, again, they want to bash the president firstly. They want this whole pandemic to last longer. They want it to be worse. And they just don't want this cure to happen. They don't want to fix things because they love this power and control, and they want to pass another stimulus bill, which is something Nancy Pelosi's been spearheading and sneaking in new amendments, giving her money for her pet projects, all this BS. And it's just getting really old, really quick. And I think you guys get what I'm saying. That about wraps things up. Make sure you guys comment your thoughts on everything below. What do you think about this new prescription that Trump's taking? Is it dangerous? Is he obese? Can the Democrats be considered hypocritical now because they're calling Trump fat? They're fat shaming him when they always complained about him saying stuff before. Is Stacey Abrams an open target now? All that stuff, discuss it below. And also make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. That really helps us get shared and get spread around there. Share the link to a friend, tweet it, put it on Facebook, whatever you can do to help. Much appreciated. More videos on the way. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.